السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل وسلم وزد وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد في الملأ الأعلى يا أرحم الراحمين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. Always and forever we begin with the praise of Allah. We send our prayers of peace upon our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We testify with firmness and conviction that none is worthy of worship but Allah, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his worshipping slave and final messenger. I continue to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for my guidance and yours, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends his choicest benedictions upon our Habib Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and allows us to be honored by his shafa'ah and intercession on the Day of Judgment. Allahumma ameen. First, let me express how happy I am. I know I don't look happy because I'm jet lagged, but that's okay. So I took the midnight flight, the red eye out of Perth, and I arrived at 6 a.m. So I'm on 3 cups of coffee, which is cool, alhamdulillah. Melbourne coffee's okay, kind of. Well, no, I'm joking. All right, see how you Melbourne people, man, you and your coffee, Allah Akbar. I shouldn't have made a Melbourne coffee joke to begin with. That was a fumble. Alhamdulillah, I'll recover inshallah. So I'm on 3 cups of coffee, alhamdulillah, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with his barakah and gives us his aid and surrounds us with his angels of rahmah. Allahumma ameen. So it's an honor and a privilege to be with you here, especially amongst a lot of young and upcoming future leaders. So before I speak about the greatest love, which is the topic that was chosen for me, I do want to first acknowledge the young people in the room. Now, I know that makes me sound old, but I'm not that old. Like, I'm old, but not, dinosaur old. So when I say young people, it's not like you guys are teenagers and, that kind of thing. But alhamdulillah, when I say young, I'm speaking in the words of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet was young up until the age of 40. In our deen, you're a shab and a shabba until the age of 40. And Islam was not delivered to the Prophet ﷺ until the age of 40. And he didn't get married until he was 25, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want you to, these numbers are really significant. He didn't balagha ashuddahu, he didn't reach his maturity of strength, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the capacity to influence others up until he's around my age. I'm 42, alhamdulillah. Nas'al Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala an yubarak lana fi a'marina, in our youth and our age, Allahumma ameen. So by your standard, I'm no longer shab, I'm an old dude, right? I'm past that 40. But mashallah, the vast majority of you in the room, you're still in that place where the Prophet speaks to you directly and he says, "Igtanim khamsan qabla khams." Make sure you take full advantage of 5 things before 5 other things happen. And of the first things he mentions is your youth, before you become like me. Your age, your maturity. And your youth is a vibrant moment in your life. It is a moment of growth. And growth is always something that begins with destruction. You're like, Brother Yahya, what are you going on about? Growth is about mistakes. And growth is about missteps. And growth is about heading down the wrong way and finding that's not where I need to be, and making a repentance and a return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Growth is about injury and insult. It's about resilience and tenacity. It's about picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and forgiving yourself so that you are able to later on know what it means to forgive others. And all that comes back to the one hadith that I want to study with you today. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, you cannot be a believer. لا يؤمن أحدكم. You cannot consolidate faith. Your faith will never come to maturity, come together, that you're complete in your relationship with Allah until you're capable of loving for others, your fellow man. And Imam al-Nawawi, he says that it's not loving for other Muslims or loving for your brother, meaning people that you like. It's for loving for others what you love for yourself. And the real fiqh of this hadith is, what do you love for yourself? And I know whoever wrote the topic where they spoke about the greatest love, they assumed that I'm going to speak about the love of Allah. I will, but I'm going to talk to you today about, I'm going to keep it 100. Do you know what that means? You're going to be woke. You better wake up, because I'm awake on 3 cups of coffee, all right? So I'm going to keep it real with you. The greatest love is the love for yourself. And if you ever deny that, you will never be capable of loving anybody else truly. Because that's how you are. You were created with this default, this defect, which is in your default setting. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. Mankind, I created you to be prone to going beyond the bounds, so don't do it. Everything that we speak of in righteousness is supposed to be opposite to what is the natural state of environment. Anyone know what the word bir means? Bir. I know, don't translate and say, oh, righteousness, brother. Like the Arabi. What is the root of bir? What does it mean? Do you know what it means? It means an arid desert that somehow miraculously grows vegetation. Like you look at that desert and you say, there's no way that sand dune can grow corn. There's no way it can be a meadow of wild flowers, of ranging colors from pink to yellow to blue. But bir is that land that you believe could never sustain life grows. That's what Allah says He wants you to be. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ. You will never be righteous. You will never have that righteousness حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ, until you can spend from the things you love, because you love them for yourself. You want that Prada bag, sister. Don't lie to me. You're looking at that Chanel and you're like, that boy bag, that looks good. Oh my God, Louis? That LV? Oof. Looks good, mashallah. Those Valentino shoes? How much? Inshallah, inshallah. Inshallah. It's just a law degree away. Right? That's how you think. Now, don't ever think that that's bad. It's not bad to want nice things. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith of Imam Muslim, but I'm sharing with you the riwayah of Imam al-Tirmidhi. The Prophet was speaking, just like I'm speaking with you, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he says, a person shall not enter paradise when within their heart is a mustard seed, an atom's weight of arrogance. And a man stood up, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, at the back and said to him, O Messenger of God, Inna rajula minna, a man, one of us, يحب أن تكون ثيابه حسنة ومطعمه حسن ومركبه حسن. O Messenger of Allah, are you saying that one of us who loves to wear fine tailored clothing, to enjoy exquisite cuisine, and ride a nice ride, have the fastest stallion, have the nicest car in the block, that will preclude us, keep us out of Jannah? Is that the arrogance, like I shouldn't have nice things? The Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ كَذَلِكَ, you misunderstood. Allahu jamilun yuhibbul jamal. Allah is the source of all beauty, and He loves وَيُحِبُّ أَن يَرَى أَثَرَ نِعَمَهُ عَلَى عِبَادِهِ. And He loves to see the ni'mah, the blessing of the beauty He's created for you, shown on your person, shown in your clothing, shown in your food, shown in your home. The Prophet ﷺ says, مِنَ السَّعَادَةِ أَرْبَعَ, from the things that give you joy in life are 4 things. A house that is vast in its space. Nobody wants to live in a closet like a broke student with a bus pass. You don't want to take the bus everywhere. You want a nice ride. You want a big home. It's min as-sa'adah. It's from the things that, and from the things that give you shaqa, a bayt, a house that is small. Nobody wants to walk into a claustrophobic home, even if you live in Japan. You don't like that. You want space. It's things you love. The greatest love in life should never be, I'm talking about in life. I'm not talking about past life. We're going to talk about Allah. You guys say, Sheikh Yahya, I thought we're Muslims and we're supposed to be, selfless and giving and charitable, mashallah. Not at the expense of yourself. What good is giving from yourself something that's going to make you hate that you gave it? What good is sharing of your heart to someone who doesn't want to receive it? What good is pursuing someone who doesn't pursue you? Seeking someone who doesn't seek you? Sharing with someone who takes but doesn't give? What good is speaking to someone who ignores you? What good is being the chaser and never the chasee? The greatest love begins where you know what you esteem and love for yourself so that others see that's valuable. Would you buy a $500 Rolex? Nah, because Rolex is like 10 grand. Someone's trying to sell you a $500 Rolex, you'd be like, nah, there's no way it's real. In your mind, because it's cheap, even though it's a brand that's valuable, because it's cheap, you immediately disqualify, and you say, but $500, you pay $500 for a Seiko, for a Pulsar, yeah, I could see that, but not for a Rolex. No, I'm not going to give my money for that. Because the brand, the value of it, it knows its own self. I mentioned some of these elite kind of bags and stuff. Did you know Dior? I know a lot about bags, mashallah. Brothers, once you get married, I'll school you. Don't worry, I got you. Did you know Dior burns, sets on fire $30 million worth of excess stock a year for no other reason than to drive scarcity? Because they don't have a sale. You don't walk into a Dior and say, hey guys, so what's on sale? It's like, dude, if you need a sale, you're in the wrong shop. You need to go down the road. They have bags that look like ours. They call them Michael Kors. Ooh. Oof, that hurt, brother. All the sisters put the Michael Kors out of the chair. They're like, oh, it's all right. You're still students. You're getting there. You're getting there. Don't worry about it. The brother's still taking the bus. Don't worry. He's looking for the car as well. Don't worry about it. Equal servings today, inshallah. But that's real, right? That's the truth. What do you love? Who do you love? If your answer ain't yourself, you got a problem with you. You're lying. You're lying. You better be very self-interested. You got a love for yourself, a career, an objective in life, goals, dreams. You got a love for yourself, a type of education, a type of standard, a type of akhlaq, type of demeanor. You got a love for yourself certain things that's going to make your brand a Rolex. So that nobody offers you $500 for it because that's not what I am. You're in the wrong category. People who sell themselves short, you know, we have words for that. They lack self-confidence, they lack self-esteem, really the essence of it, they've undervalued themselves. Why? Because they haven't sat with themselves and said, what do I like about myself? And what do I want for myself in life? The greatest culprits of this are usually brothers. And subhanAllah, as you begin to mature, and I wish there were more brothers, mashallah, like 100 of you, but I wish there was more. As you begin to mature, you're going to understand that the greatest thing that you will possess is to have within yourself that desire to be a complete man and not just a male. And there's a difference between having the autonomy, the anatomy of a male, and having the qualities and the characteristics of a man. And in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of that in the Quran. You know, He speaks about al-rijal qawwamun, which I know the dear brother Mufti Asim is going to speak about al-qawama. It's a beautiful topic. Inshallah, it's going to be blessed. What it means to be, you know, a man. The Prophet ﷺ, you know, he would speak to us in ways that at times we look at the surface, but the depth of it is where He wanted us to search, where He wanted us to descend to and swim. You know, when the Prophet says to me as a father, "Allimu awladakum as-sibaha," teach your sons to swim, it's not, okay, son, we're going to the YMCA, you got to learn how to dive and front crawl, and we live in Australia, there's rip currents. No, that wasn't the intent of the Prophet ﷺ. He's speaking to people who live in a desert. They've never seen open water. They don't ride the waves, they're not fishermen, they're not there to experience drowning. But the Prophet is saying to a father, you live in the desert, but your son one day may be over there. So prepare your sons, your daughters, for what a future may hold that is different to the reality they experience. It's the concept of muru'ah, chivalry. It's the concept of futuwah. Allah uses it in the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. These are a collection of young men, young, youthful men and women who came together in the worship of Allah, and they chose a path that was different to others. They were an oxymoron. You as a believer, as a practitioner of righteousness, you're an oxymoron. You're a flower blooming in a desert. You're valuable. You're rare. And if you don't know your rarity, how is someone else going to value it? If you don't know what you love for yourself, if you are not your own greatest love, who can love you more than yourself? Why would anyone love you more than yourself? Why? Why would I prefer you to myself? Unless I understand your value and I see that you've given yourself, and therefore I share myself with you. And that's the concept of marriage for us. That's where the words of nikah come to bear. You become a zawj where there's two equal parts. They're independent and whole, complete. Like in izdawaj. They become together, that the one and the other who are separate, unique and complete, that when they merge together in nikah, coming together as zawj wa zawja, you don't know where one begins from where one ends. That's the blessing of what we see. That's the conceptualization that we have. So your greatest love must begin internally. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this in different ways in the Quran. He tells us to search within ourselves. Some of the early philosophers, they would say, "What, know thyself." What does that mean? What does it mean, know thyself? Who am I? And what do I want? And what's important to me? And what isn't? And what might be valuable to me might not be the same thing that my parents value in somebody else. And what I value for myself might be different to what my sister values in what she's searching for, or my brother values in who he's looking for. What do I care about the most? And what do I feel is necessary for the longevity of my relationship into the future. It begins with you. And always be able to sit with yourself in solitude. You know, the native Indians, they said, in America and Canada, we have a saying that the natives would say, silence is thought. Just to be silent, it means you're forced to think. So as you sit quietly, you have nothing around you. You don't have a phone that you just randomly look at past messages because you're not that popular and people aren't pinging you all the time. You're just sitting there like, oh, okay, well, let me see what was said. Huh? And you just put that away, and you just turn it off, and you just sit. And you just sit quiet. It's a long lost art of being bored. Being bored is actually called thinking. There's a sensory overload that makes us overlook everything outside us. So everything that's outside you consumes you. But everything that is really central to you is within you. It's within your heart, within your mind, within your emotions. It's where you release conflict. It's where you deal with, you know, we've all had that. Have you ever had an argument with someone and 10 seconds after you walk away, you think of what you should have said? And then you turn back, but she's already left. You're like, man, if I would have said that, it would have shut her up. But it's too late. You're already thinking. But when you're quiet and you find a place, it's a place where you find yourself. Mindfulness begins with understanding who you are and what you want, what you value within yourself and seek. Most of the time we seek to know how we are viewed by other people's eyes. And therefore the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us a really simple formula. In the authentic hadith of Imam Muslim, he said, Al-Muslimu mir'atu akhi. A believer is a reflection of their brethren. So I want, you know, take a critical look of those who you filled your life with. And take a look at them. All the ugliness you see, because a mirror is not normally used to esteem yourself. A mirror is used to critique yourself. So there you are, early in the morning today, trying to pin that scarf. And it keeps flapping down. You're like, subhanAllah, I gotta undo it again. Okay, iron it again. And you did it again. And it's like, Ya Allah, 17 times I'm trying, okay, I'm not wearing this scarf because it's gonna be on my mind the whole day. You looking in the mirror to find imperfection. And the Prophet ﷺ says to you, whenever you're seeing imperfection in those who you've surrounded yourself with, guess where the ugliness actually lies? Guess where that same reflection is coming from? You are the reflection of those who you've chosen, those who you've committed to as a consistent thing. So you don't like that she lies to you, and you don't like that your friend exaggerates or she gossips, but you've remained solid in that relationship constantly for years because it's a reflection of part of you. And when you sit quiet, you begin to analyze your life and yourself. You begin to see what are the things that you love and what are the things you don't. The man says to the Prophet ﷺ, can't we have nice clothes? Can't we have nice food? The Prophet says Allah is the source of all beauty. He loves for beauty to be shown to his servants. Al-Kibr, the arrogance I speak of, is batarul haqqi wa ghamdun nas, is that you cast your sight down upon some because they don't meet what you feel is your status. So because you're younger than me, if you advise me, I say, what do they know? They're young. Oh, because he's from this place. He doesn't have my education. She doesn't have this. I look down at a person who speaks to me or gives a word of truth, and I dismiss it not because of the merit of what they're saying is correct or incorrect, but because of who they are. That's arrogance. And number two, ghamdun nas. That it's not just that I reject what they say, but I feel within my heart, because of what I wear, because of what I eat, because of what I ride, that it makes me better than the other. It's not the clothing that's the problem. It's the feeling of the one who wears it, where they don't see their imperfection in their treatment and in their dealing with others. The greatest love is for you to begin within yourself, to recognize those who are nearest to you. Khadija radiallahu anha wa ardaha. She speaks about the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The moment he returns after having encountered Jibreel and received the early verses of Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. And she says, Kalla wallahi, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by God, inna Allah la yukhzika abada. Your Lord will never disgrace you. No harm will come to you. What's her evidence? Ya Muhammad, innaka la tasilur rahim. Her first evidence is because you connect everyone in your family. You're the thing that brings people together in your home. It's easier for you to overlook the mistake of your friend than your own blood. Like I'll see this even, with your children in your future. You'll try to correct this in them. You'll see this, inshallah, not in your behavior. But your sister walks in the room and she picks up a scarf from your 76,000 scarves, and you're furious. I told you not to come in my room without asking. I told you don't take anything without asking me. But if your friend visits your home and is looking through your scarves and goes, oh, I'm going to wear this tonight, you hold your tongue. You don't react in that same way. Why? Because she's not your family. You don't take that liberty. You're only insulted. You're only loud, belligerent with people who you feel are not worth it. And that's your blood. You speak that way to your mom, but you wouldn't speak that way to your boss. You wouldn't speak that way to your lecturer. You take liberty with your father, your brother, your aunt, your uncle. But you'd never do it with someone who extends past your home. And therefore the greatest honor of the Prophet ﷺ, the first thing Khadija says, why Allah will safeguard him? Tasilur rahim, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa tahmilul kal, you carry on your back food for the ones who have no food. What does that mean? That when you and I choose to sit in company of people, we want to sit in company of those who are peers or those who are elite to us, because we hope that by virtue of their position, we will rise. Shakespeare, he says, some by virtue fall, and some by error rise. Some by virtue, it'll bring you down. You're trying to get virtuous, but it'll humiliate you. And some by their humility, it will ascend them. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man tawada'a lillahi rafa'a." The one who humbles himself before God, Allah elevates them. And the Prophet ﷺ, his company was not limited to just Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, or Ali radiallahu anhu, or the elite of Mecca radiallahu anhu. But it was to Abdullah ibn Maktoum, the blind man, Bilal al-Habashi, and they would mock him. They would say, "Sawayta baynana wa baynahum?" You want me to believe in you the way these slaves believe in you? How dare you think? Even if what you say sounds good, even if what you say in my heart I recognize its truth, I would never equate myself with them. They would say that to Nuh. Innahum aradhiluna badiya ar-ra'y. These are the weak-minded amongst us, the poorest amongst us. Because they look to others in what others they think see of them, not to what they value in themselves. If you know yourself, you have no problem mixing with the wealthy or the poor. Everybody's equal in front of you. Because at the end of the day, you're a person and they're a person. At the end of the day, they go to the bathroom the way you do. At the end of the day, they need to retire to a bed when they're tired. At the end of the day, they get sick like you get sick. And if you were to cut somebody open, their blood is good enough for you. You don't ask, can I have a blood transfusion from an Arab? Chinese blood is as red as yours. If the type matches, it's good enough. That's it. We're all the same. And that recognition, know thyself, who you are, and valuing yourself begins now to help you choose who will value you in life. The greatest value that you can give to yourself is to recognize your position. And your position is that of a slave. SubhanAllah. The moment you understand your commission in life is not gratification that is instantaneous, that it's not about the here and now, but there has to be a deferred happiness in another time. It could be another time later in my future, or another time maybe not even in this life. The moment you understand that the money that I saved so hard for, then I see somebody who's in debt, and their family is going to lose their home. And everything I worked for, perhaps if I, for the generosity that Allah has placed in my heart, that I share some of it towards them, that I can alleviate their harm, then I prefer, although I love myself, I know what I love. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. And that's the moment you understand who is the master and who is the servant. You say, oh Allah, this is in your way. It's going to them, but it's in your way, oh Allah. Oh Allah, I saw what's been happening in that place. Oh Allah, wallahi, I've been saving. I have all I own in the world, oh Allah, is $500. And $500 to you may mean a lot as a student, and it might not mean as much to me. And I might give $5,000 and you gave 50 of your 500, and Allah accepts that as being greater than my 5,000. Because you went against your inner calling. You became a desert that bloomed a rose. Bir. Love begins with yourself, but the greatest love is that you look past yourself, although you know you are worthy of it. And then you understand that you are in the position of a slave, and Allahul Ghaniyyu Dhur Rahmah is the one who is the enricher, the one without need, and whose mercy descends upon us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The greatest love then is to understand your ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is that you know your entitlement to Allah is a part of your entitlement to yourself. That who I am and what I want is very dear to me. Shaykh Yahya made that very clear. I must value this. There's nothing wrong in going after that Louis. Nothing wrong with it. But if there ever comes a moment where I have to make a choice of whether I'm going to spend, which is my disposable, hard-earned, saved income, to something that will give me some gratification now, or that I part with it, and I take from what I love for myself, because I'm the greatest love for myself, but I'm going to prefer somebody else, and I'll do it for my master. That's where Allah shifts mountains in your life. That's where calamities that were about to befall are averted. That's where illness that was soon to set can be channeled elsewhere. That's where your dua becomes elevated and you become sanctified in Allah. And that's where the calamity that descends upon you, you can bear it when others buckle and lose faith. That's where barakah is added in your home. That's where your spouse, who you have not yet met, 10 years from now, will remain faithful to you and love you because you loved another human being. I'm going to tell you a real story. You know, when I was young, there was a kid in my class. I was like in grade 2 or 3, year 3. There was a kid in my class, his name was Chris. And may Allah forgive me, forgive us, those who were in my classroom. We used to tease him because we used to call him goggles. He used to wear these really thick glasses. We used to call them goggles. And back then, when I was growing up in Canada, like the word bullying wasn't invented yet. Like that concept of bullying wasn't invented. So if you went to the teacher would turn to him and say, listen, they're just messing with you. There wasn't, any interaction. You just were expected to take it and give it back. Whether that's good or not, it's a different story. And my mom, I got in the car and I rolled down the window and I said, "See you tomorrow, goggles." And my mom stopped the car. She said, "What did you call it?" قلت له إيه؟ قلت له إحنا بنسميه goggles عشان استغفر الله العظيم يا رب. Looks like he's wearing swimming goggles. She goes, "والله يا يحيى ما فيش حاجة هتعملها في حد إلا لما هتلاقيها تصيبك. Nothing you've done, even as a young child, to anyone, except it's going to come back to you." A couple of years later, got my first goggles. Allah. And those same friends of mine who used to, "Hey, goggles, goggles," guess who they started calling goggles? It's like, "Oh, there's goggles 2. I was goggles 2. Like in grade 5, they used to call me goggles 2. And they'd go like this from far away. And I always would remember what my mother, subhanAllah, said. And this is a natural law of Allah. Man ahsana, the one who does good, eventually receives good. وَمَنْ أَسَاءَ فَعَلَيْهَا, and the one who brings something that is not good, it returns back to them. I'll give you an example from the Quran that shows the perfect symmetry. Ibrahim's father, alayhi salam, he tried to kill him, right? What did they do to Ibrahim? They said, "Throw him in the fire." And Allah saved Ibrahim, قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. Oh, fire that has been blazed, be cool, be pleasant upon Abraham. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was hanging out in the fire until it died, and then he went out. And his father said, "Hujurni maliya, leave, we never want to see your face again." Ibrahim never really understood how much of a test he was for his father, until Allah tested him with the exact same thing. Your father was so committed to his idolatry that he was willing to sacrifice you. Ibrahim, are you as committed to me as he was committed to that? What does Allah order Ibrahim to do? To do what? Come on, you guys know the story. You went to Quran school or not? What does Allah say to Ibrahim? Slaughter your son. Why? Because كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ. As you were a test for your parents, your children will be a test for you in the exact same way. SubhanAllah, I can see it in my children. I look at my kids and I say, "Oh my God, that's what I did with my dad." Wallahi, I used to exact same. Irma, stop acting like me. Don't do that. As you are, subhanAllah, it's perfect symmetry. Ibrahim, your test is what you were as a test for your father. In life, your greatest love is yourself, but your greatest ambition is to go past it, to become a abd of Allah, where you prefer others to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I conclude by asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of those who have come together as volunteers, to all of the Muslim associations of Melbourne, Jazakumullah khair, of the Islamic associations of the universities. I see, what is it, we got University of Melbourne and Deakin and a couple of campuses from Monash and, how do you say that, Swinburne? I'm Canadian, so don't judge me. And is it Monash or Monash or, don't judge me too much on it, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all the sisters with the nice maroon scarves. Why don't the brothers have to dress up? Or are you all in black? I thought that was just like Armani or something. Inshallah. All right. Allah yabarak feekum, and I look forward to our sessions that are upcoming, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Know thyself. Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah, was a very good speech, super relevant to the topic.